Hello everyone and welcome to another video. Today I want to talk about my 2020 reading stats. Before I go into that, I want to say Happy New Year to everyone. I hope you had a great holiday despite some of the difficulties we all faced around this time. But let's just think that 2020 is now behind us and let's just move forward and hope for a much better year. I hope I can definitely go home this year and visit my family. But anyway, I also want to thank everyone who subscribed and also welcome all the new subscribers. Thank you so much, and I hope to meet all of you in the comments below. Now, let's start with the stats. I have my computer here and I made some beautiful pie charts for you to see and for me also to reflect upon. I normally don't tend to do this, and I've seen a lot of these videos and I always think it's interesting to look at it. But I'm such a mood reader that last year, for example, I haven't even bothered with this. And now I'm looking back at what I've read, I realized that maybe having these visuals and having the numbers and everything out in front of me would have maybe made me think a bit differently on how I read and what books I pick up. So this year I decided to do this chart and these tables and these Excel sheets and such, just to help me, maybe guide me through 2021 when it comes to picking up books anyway. So the first thing I wanted to say was that my reading challenge on Goodreads was set in 2020 for 70 books. And this is also something I want to continue with. It's a great mark for me because I don't feel it's too high, so it's unachievable. But at the same time, it's still not too low. So I feel like that I have to strive to reach it. And I have met this goal. I have read, according to Goodreads at least, I have read a total of 88 books. But when I look at my Excel list I compiled, it actually looks like I read 90. So I think there's a couple of rereads there, which Goodreads didn't count. I don't know why. Next year though, I'm still gonna set my reading challenge to 70 books and just try not to put too much pressure on myself regarding meeting that goal and how it goes. I think 70 now is a goal I've met these past 4 years, 3-4 years, and I'm really happy with that. So let's start with the first chart I made, which is the book's origin. And this for me was library books versus owned books. And as you can see on the chart, I've read so many books from the library. I think the ratio was 65 versus 25. So great for going to the library. I really enjoyed that. But I feel that I just borrow too many books and I constantly have had books on the go, books reserved, books books I had to read and books I had to return, that I really didn't manage to read all the books I have on my shelves. And I have a lot of books on my shelves that I want to read, but I have never had the chance to do so. Plus all the books I bought last year as well, which I think I read really a very few of those. So next year or this year, I want to focus on more on the books I bought. Still continue with library, but maybe not so much, and just be more aware of the percentage of library books versus own books I read. Maybe on a monthly basis. I think that would be great to keep me on track. The next chart I have is about the book's format, and this is audiobooks versus physical copies versus ebooks. And as you can see, I read a lot of physical books, and that's great. I'm really surprised by the amount of audiobooks. I read 17 and I also read 16 ebooks. I really like that I read 17 audiobooks. I think audiobooks are a great way to consuming more books. If you feel like you don't have time to sit down and read a book, you can always listen to it on your commute, lunch break, when you clean, when you cook. I feel that it really helps me to read more books and just go through books faster. The next chart is quite a pitiful one because it's basically the ratio of translated works versus the English written non-translated works. And as you can tell, it's a really small sliver of that pie which are translated books, and I definitely want to increase that sliver to maybe into a quarter of the pie. I think that would be great for next year. So the next chart is about the publication year of the books, and here I feel that I'm reading a lot of books published in the last decade, 2 decades. And I feel that maybe I should focus more on older books, on classics, modern classics. I think that's why I'm also doing this reading only classics, modern classics challenge in January. Because I have so many on my TBR I've been dying to read. So I have to do a more conscious effort to do so. And as you can tell, the books written in the 19th century, it's again a very, very sliver of that pie in the dark blue. And those are basically the classics. And I have not read that many. I have another category, which is also, I would call classics, from 1900 to 1950. And that is also quite a small one. So next year, I want to increase the number of books which are maybe written before 1950, and maybe don't focus so much on the last 2 decades. Just read more diversely also when it comes to publication year, even though there are some new releases I'm interested in. So I guess it's a good combo, but yeah, I have to spread out the publication year a bit more than I did in 2020 at least. When it comes to fiction and non-fiction, here I'm actually surprised, because I feel that in the latter part of the year I have read a lot of non-fiction. But when I look through the whole list, it is actually not that many. Only 15 out of the 90 were non-fiction books. And thinking about this non-fiction kick I was on, if that wouldn't have happened, wow. So I'm really happy that I have at least almost 20% non-fiction here. And I definitely want to read more non-fiction in 2021. Now, when it comes to genres, I'm a bit surprised how large a chunk fantasy is in this chart, because I don't feel that I read so many fantasy books this year. But looking at my list of books, I can see that yes, I have read a lot of fantasy in the first part of the year, but most of these were actually really low rated books. And I definitely want to continue reading fantasy, but maybe focus more on adults, and maybe focus more on those really known classics series everyone recommends. Other than that, I can see that there's quite large chunks of this pie made out of historical fiction, mystery, literary fiction. I'm really happy for the chunk there, and of course classics as well. I really don't mind this chart actually. I like that there are different kinds of genres in here, because I really like to read diversely when it comes to genres. So the only thing I would say is that I would maybe like to have more literary fiction, and I would like to have more classics in here. So now I first grouped the authors by continent, and here overwhelmingly over half of my reading is from authors from North America, which is, I guess, fine. There's a lot of authors, and there's a lot of US focus on BookTube, on US authors. So I think this just reflects, it's just the way it is. But I think coming from Europe, it's just too much focus on the US here. So maybe next year I want to decrease the authors from North America, definitely, and just focus more on on those small slivers, which are all the other continents, because again, Europe is again a big chunk of this pie. So I want to decrease those big chunks and spread out the pie so it encompasses all continents a little bit more, because there's just too much US and too much Euro focus. Even though I would definitely like to read more books from all the countries in Europe, because I don't feel like I've done so. When we go more into focus with the authors, you will see that the Europe part of it is mostly UK focused as well. So let's increase those other areas of this pie. And remember that there's also other continents here. Like, where is South America? Where is it? And now when we come to the author's home country, as you could already tell from the previous chart, this one reflects that one pretty well, because as I said, Europe, most of it is focused in the UK, as you can see that with the blue, darker blue part of it. And then a lot of it is actually the United States. I mean, over half. wow. I'm happy though that there are almost a quarter of this pie is made out of those slivers of all the different countries. So I did make a little bit of an effort, but I don't think it was conscious. So I think I would definitely pay more attention to consciously choosing books by authors from all kinds of different countries in Asia, smaller countries in Europe, South America. I also have a bigger chunk here from Canada, which is I guess fine, but yeah, not so many authors from Africa either. And again, where is South America? Where is it? Now we come to the last two charts, and one of them is the author's gender. And because really I've done this Excel sheet a couple of days ago, I really didn't have time to look into these authors or how they identify and so on and so forth. So basically I just grouped them in the two main categories, which is women and men. And then I have an other category, but there basically I have two authors, two author duos, so husband and wife duo. So basically regarding this chart is all I can say is that I'm happy that I read so many works by women, and I'm happy that my work is not so focused on men. And the last pie chart I have is about diversity, and here again this is a very simplistic chart where I basically group the authors by in two groups, which is white and people of color. And again, this is because I didn't have time to compile a really detailed list of the authors, but maybe moving forward next year when I update this list on the go, I would have a much more interesting and I would have a much more detailed and accurate description of diversity when it comes to the authors. So I'm really happy that I've read 31 books by people of color compared to 59 by white authors. And I definitely want to have this maybe at the 50-50 mark next year. So yeah, these are all the charts I had for you. I'm really happy I made this. I was a bit hesitant in the beginning, but I'm really happy because I really have a clear picture as to what I want to focus on next year and just not leave everything up to chance, I guess. Let me know if you also have made stats and what you want to focus on in 2021. I definitely want to read more classics. I want to read more books by people of color. I want to read more diversely when it comes to the author's country of origin. So yeah, just generally want to broaden a little bit my reading and just pick up more diverse books overall. I think I will find some great authors, new authors that way, and not just focus on the ones I hear about constantly on BookTube. Because again, that's something I really enjoy watching BookTube videos and picking up books because of BookTube. But I feel that they're always the same authors getting kind of recycled in these videos. And I just want to go and research authors from South America, for example, by country. And just, yeah, focus on them, for example, for a while and so on and so forth. So read books, not necessarily because I heard about them on BookTube. Because, I mean, I would definitely do that because watching BookTube will definitely influence some of my reading, but I also want to try to discover authors and books through other sources. Yeah, I guess this is it for me. Let me know what is your main focus when it comes to reading for 2021. And yeah, I hope it's gonna be a great reading year and not just that. And yeah, again, I want to wish you a happy new year and I will see you in the next video. Bye.